Welcome everyone to this live stream, I guess we would call it, of the International Sanatana Dharma Conference for 2024. And for all the individuals watching online and then our temple packed with devotees who are here, this has been a truly wondrous last 2.5 days. And I am indeed going to give a little bit of a talk, but then more than anything, I want to have a session where people can simply ask questions. But before I start, actually, with the talk I'm going to give, just a few things I wanted to say. This has thus far been the most wonderful conference that we have had. This is the 11th annual conference of the ISDS that we have had. We've had conferences here in Omaha, we've had them in Austin, Texas, mostly in Omaha though, because this of course is where our headquarters is. And let me say, as far as quality of the presentations, quality of spirit, this has been truly the best conference so far. This is a verse that I will be commenting on from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is Canto 11, Chapter 2, and verse 36. So first, let me give the translation of this extremely important verse, and then I'll explain why it's of such importance. This is the translation. In accordance with the particular nature one has acquired in conditioned life, whatever one does with one's body, one's words, one's mind, one's senses, one's intelligence, or one's Atman, one's purified consciousness, one should offer to Sriman Narayana, thinking to himself that this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayana alone. A very, very famous verse indeed for individuals who have attended, let's say, even general Hindu functions. We know that very often the Sanskrit to this is recited by people. It's a very, very famous verse, but it's also a profoundly important verse indeed. That is why it's so famous, because of what is being said here. And what is indeed being said? What is this verse speaking about? Speaking about prapatti, speaking about surrender. It is giving us the process by which we surrender. We know that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us to simply surrender unto him. And he says this to Arjuna. And then ma shuchaha, do not fear. But here, what is wonderful is in the Srimad Bhagavatam is the actual process. And certainly this is not the only verse that talks about surrender to God, to Krishna. But this certainly is one of the most profound because it lays out a blueprint of surrender, one might say. Before I dive into commenting a little bit about the verse, let me repeat something that I have said about the process of surrender. Indeed, it's interesting. Just yesterday, here at the conference, I was having conversations with several people where I spoke about this. The idea of surrender is not the idea of a momentary act that one does once and that's it. So in other words, a lot of people, when they hear this idea of surrender, some people will have this idea that what does that mean? Oh, kind of a one-time only dramatic act. You feel very moved. You feel very emotional. You indeed have that sense that, oh, I want to surrender to God. And you throw your arms up in the air and you just say, oh God, I surrender unto you. And that's it. You're saved. Everything is fine. This is the stereotype that people will have. Now, on the one hand, this process that I just described, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. On the contrary, oh, we should actually do that every day. Every day we should be moved to lift our hands up in the air and say, oh, Lord Krishna, I surrender unto you. But the point is this, the idea that that's only what surrender means, no, surrender is infinitely deeper than this. As I've said to people, surrender is a process. It's something that we cultivate every day. It's something that we do as a daily sadhana, where the idea is surrender. Is there such a thing as maximal surrender? How much can we surrender? Is it enough to surrender merely with our words? Is it enough to surrender merely with our bodies? So again, lifting the arms up, etc. And even given all that, what are the ultimate degrees of surrender of which we are capable. This is why understanding these questions, this is how we are to understand that surrender is something we cultivate. It's something we work on day after day after day. We may even at that moment very sincerely, again, do this motion, oh Krishna, I surrender unto you, and very sincerely. However, how do we feel an hour after? How do we feel the next day? Is that surrender still as deep? The point is to come to this point where that surrender becomes a daily, second by second, moment by moment state of our being. To the point where, regardless of anything that's happening to us, and this is the challenge, this is why I say it's a process, not just a momentary motion, it's a process. We must be surrendered to Krishna, at the best of times when we feel very inspired, and we must be surrendered to Krishna at the worst of times. At those times when, not only do we not feel inspired, we feel crushed sometimes by the weight of the world around us. At those times when, things have gone terribly, we've had some bad news, someone close to us, they're ill, they passed away, something bad has happened to us, things seem to be going fine, we lose our job, we become ill, something terrible happens, or we just have a terrible day. We've all had those days where nothing seems to go right, problem after problem after problem, back to back. It's especially at those times that we have to cultivate surrender. And again, there's that word, cultivate. We have to cultivate surrender. Because again, it's one thing to be very enthusiastic and vibrantly spiritual when everything is going great and the sun is shining and the birds are chirping in the background. But when the clouds are there and it seems like, things are not going well, that is when we need to especially take shelter of this praplatti, of this surrender at the feet of God. And why is this the case? Because when especially things are going badly, when we're having our greatest challenges, that is when now spirituality has its most focused meaning for us as individuals. Where now, our vision, when things are going badly, our vision literally kind of goes like this, and all we can do is focus on that bad thing. Well, when that's happening, let's take that very same focused vision and instead, now I surrender at the feet of Lord Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And that being the case, this is when surrender is most powerful. This is when surrender truly has deep personal meaning for us. And more, it comes to the point where surrender, papatti, itself, becomes itself a manifestation of who we are. It becomes an expression of Atman itself. It becomes an expression of our very soul. And that's the goal, is to be so surrendered unto God that it is an expression of our very soul, not an expression just of our wishes or our fantasies, even religious fantasy. Again, of it just being a nice day. No, it must be an expression of the very yearning of our very soul itself. And this is how we surrender. What is surrender when we think about this? I've said this several times, and this is something I contemplate all the time, actually. What does it mean to be spiritual, in motion, in action? It means we give. It means we give. For those watching right now through Zoom, had you been here at our temple, you would have seen a temple full of Vaishnavas, full of devotees, doing nothing but giving of themselves in every way, volunteering, doing things. Well, that's what it means to be spiritual. We, again, cultivate, we practice giving. And what it means to be spiritual as a Vaishnava, specifically in relationship to Sriman Narayana, is that we cultivate and practice that giving. When we do puja, we are giving. In my mind, and this is very, very personal, as I'm even reciting the mantra in my mind, I am giving of myself. We give, we give, we give. And this is also the idea of surrender. Well, all this being the case, that we are meant to give and give and give to God. What are we to give to God? Everything? Yes, certainly. In puja, we give incense. In puja, we give water. In puja, we give light. We give a little lamp, and we give and we give. We offer food, etc. We can give so many things, and truthfully, this should always be our mentality. Oh, let me give everything. That's even karma yoga. Oh, I'm doing work. Let me give my work to God. If not directly, at least in my intentionality. But this is prapatti. This is the secret, one could say. Prapatti rahasya, the secret of surrender. With surrender, what ultimately are we doing? We're giving the best of what we have. We are giving the very best. See, we're giving to God, correct? Should we give to God something third rate? What do you think? No. Second rate. We should give to God the best. And what is the best of what we have? Of all of our possessions, what is the best truly of what we have? You know the answer. Give the answer. Atma. We give our own self. Oh, we can give so many things external to ourselves. Oh, well, let me give money, let me give food, let me give this, let me give that. But again, we are to give the very best of what we have. What is that? We give our very selves. We give our very Atman to God. That is prapatti. If we are to understand this word, prapatti, that's what it means. That we give the best of what we have, and the best of what we have is our very self. Do we stop there? No, let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Do we give ourselves an illusion? No. Not only do we give ourselves, let's give our very best self. If people want to know the ultimate rahasya, the ultimate secret of everything, of yoga, of Sanatana Dharma, of the Vedic way, it is this, that for the Vaishnava, what makes the Vaishnava yogi different from every other yogi is this. We seek to perfect ourselves in everything that we are. We seek to be virtuous. We seek to be beautiful. And oh yes, we seek to be beautiful. Oh, not in a vain way. On the contrary, we seek to be so pure within that the beauty radiates from us. We seek to be wise. We seek to be good. We seek to be everything that is wonderful in this world, in such a way that we come to the point where we have what technically is called Atma Jnana, self-realization. But what also does that mean? We have brought ourselves to perfection. And then, like that ripened, beautiful fruit that you take from the tree, we take ourselves in our perfection, and then we offer ourselves to God. So for us, interestingly, it's not enough to even, quote unquote, offer ourselves to God. That alone is profound. Even then, oh, let me be my best self first, and then offer myself at the feet of Bhagavan. So that is prapatti. That is prapatti. I didn't mean to give my talk before even looking at the verse. Now we're going to look at the verse a little bit. First of all, in accordance with the particular nature one has acquired in conditioned life. So this is important. What's being said here is in accordance with our svadharma. So what does this mean? It's recognized that everyone, in other words, is different. What is meant by svadharma? Well, there's dharma itself. Dharma means several things. It means natural law, but it also means that which is the inherent quality of a thing. Philosophically, as expressed in the Sanskrit language, there's dharma and dharmin. Dharma is that quality. Dharmin is that being that has the quality. So all that being said, every individual has their own dharma, has their own internal quality. And that's different from person to person. So this is what's being said here. In accordance with the particular nature, the particular svadharma that one has acquired in conditioned life. So in other words, it's recognized that we're all different. We all have a swadharma. We all have a psychophysical nature. We all have likes and dislikes. We all have our own personality that we express in so many ways. So I've always loved this first beginning little clause because it recognizes our individuality. It recognizes that we are persons. In my teachings, not my teachings, in the teachings that I have conveyed, that have been given by Prabhupada, by Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Swami, by Ramanuja, Bodhayana, so many different individuals who have been there. What is one of the points that we stress again and again and again? We are persons. We are persons, we have personality. In this very first clause, this is expressed, that we're all different. And in accordance, even with who we are as an individual, in conditioned life, that is within the material world, whatever one does, and now let's just quickly go through this list. Some of them are self-explanatory, some I want to comment on a little bit. Whatever what one does with one's body. So that means the totality of the body that we have. This is how we do tremendous service. This is how we do things in the world. This is how we go to work. Oh, even if we have an office job, we have to transport our body there to the office job before we can sit at our computer and do things, etc. Everything that we do with our body should be done in such a way that the ultimate goal is to use that physical form in order to serve Krishna. So again, for individuals who were not physically here and you could not witness this, everyone here, they use their bodies in order to do seva, in order to serve Krishna in so many ways. Again, our kitchen devotees especially, you may even hear them doing things right now, chopping things and mixing things and doing all sorts of things. We are to use our bodies in the service of God. We are to surrender all of the Shakti of our body. But more, let's back up. That being the case, should it not be the case that if we're going to use our physical body to serve God, which all of us do, I am the Acharya, I use my physical body very often to serve God, should we not have a body even that is optimal, that is healthy, that is strong? So indeed, this is why also we have to take care of ourselves physically. It means we have to eat nutritious food. Oh, we have to be vegetarian. We have to be vegetarian in an intelligent way. We have to eat nutritious food, know how to blend and balance our foods in such a way that we're getting all the nutrients and vitamins that we need. It means, oh yes, we have to go to the gym. People know that I'm someone who I love going to the gym. It's very sad. To be honest with you, I have not been able to go to the gym for a week now due to our conference. I've been too busy, and I feel it. I've told people I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm going to go hit the gym again. We need to take care of our body, bring our body to optimal excellence such that we can employ our body to serve God. Let's go on. One's words. Oh, we are to surrender our words at the feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. What does that mean? That means in how we communicate. We are to use communication in all the modes and means of communication in order to serve God. And that means we are to talk about God. That means, oh, when we're on the job and it's a more secular sort of environment, even there, if we can't talk about Krishna directly, we should use our words in a way where it inspires others, where we don't use our words to put people down, to curse at people, to get angry at people. No, wherever we find ourselves, at the very least, our words should be sattvic. And then when we can, more than sattvic, shuddha sattva, we should praise Krishna constantly with our words. Let's go on. One's mind. One's mind. Oh, this is why we do meditation. And especially for those of us who now are doing mantra in our mind. Oh, we are using our mind. As we are doing our meditation and as we sit there within our minds reciting Om Namo Narayana, Namo Narayana. But again, within the mind. We are employing the mind in surrender unto God. More than this, with every attempt that we do to control our mind, we are surrendering that mind to that which is higher. We are surrendering our mind to the transcendent. You know? Most people, we know this is the nature of this world. Oh, we have uncontrolled minds. Well, we are to discipline our minds in such a way that it is fully under our control. And like any tool that we have full mastery over, we can then use that tool of mind in service at the feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. One's senses. Indeed, we are meant to use our senses in surrender. See, this is the thing that's important to understand. On the one hand, we don't want to be hedonists to the point where just pleasing our senses is everything, the most important thing. On the other hand, we don't want to be false ascetics, pretending that we don't have senses. And indeed, often missing out on the beauty that God has placed in this world for us, such that experiencing this beauty, we will elevate who we are. No, we want to indeed transcendentally enjoy our senses. What does that mean? What this means is, again, sorry to pick on Shannon, but earlier she played beautiful violin for us, beautiful music. And everyone here, including myself, I was standing toward the back. Our senses were enthralled by listening to this beautiful music. And when there is something that is sattvic, that is pure, that is good, it doesn't have to be directly related to Krishna, but it has to be sattvic, pure, and good. What does it do? Again, it elevates us. When we go out into nature, oh, what do? Our senses are overwhelmed with beauty. We see the beauty of nature all around us. We smell the earth. We smell the foliage. We smell the leaves. We hear the birds chirping beautifully in the background, and on and on and on. So is that directly Krishna? No, it's not. It's a bird. It's birds. It's something indirect. But at the same time, the beauty brings sattva into our lives. It brings goodness into our lives in such a way that we are elevated. And now, having our senses elevated, now that we do direct those senses toward Sriman Narayana, our senses themselves have been honed via sattva in such a way that we can appreciate even God better through our senses. So indeed, we surrender the senses. One's intelligence. I think everyone in this room has surrendered their intelligence at the feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Indeed, we've seen many of the presentations, for example, that have taken place so far. Highly philosophical, highly informative. The ones that are about to come after my talk is over. And what have we seen? That, oh, everyone has intelligence. Of course, some have more, some have less, some have more disciplined intelligence, some have intelligence, oh, not so disciplined. We're all different. But the important thing is this: to use that intelligence to organize your thoughts, the data that is there within one's mind in such a way that it's not just full of trivial, worthless information about Harry Potter, Star Wars, pick anything. Oh, I can tell you, 100,000 fun facts about Star Trek and how it's so different from Star Wars and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's using intelligence, but what a waste. What a waste. Rather, we use that same powerful mechanism of buddhi, of intelligence, in such a way that, oh, we're still dealing with data, but what are we doing? We're using it to convey truth in such a way that we are helping other individuals with what we are conveying to them. So indeed, we are to surrender our very intelligence as philosophers, as individuals who want to convey truth to others. And then finally, one's purified consciousness. And here we come to the apex of surrender, one's Atman, one's purified consciousness. Again, we are to surrender that Atman itself to God in such a way that, oh, we surrender everything. That's why there's the list. Do you think the list could have gone deeper? Of course it could have. You know, our possessions are not mentioned. So many things are not mentioned. But this is the gist of what we are to know. We are to surrender everything that we are and everything that we have at the feet of God. But more importantly, is that purified consciousness, is that Atma, that we are to surrender our own selves. Atma Nivedana. Atma Nivedana is another way of saying prapatti, is another way of saying surrender, but it's more specific. It's more to the point. Surrender of oneself at the feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So we are to do all this and more. Finally, this is the spirit in which we are to do surrender. One should offer all of these things to Sriman Narayana, thinking to himself that. And then this is a sentence within the verse itself. This should be our mentality. This should be our way of thinking as we are cultivating this prapatti. This is for the pleasure of Sriman Narayana, of Lord Narayana alone. This is how we are to think to ourselves as we are surrendering all of these things on this list that have been stated. That this is for Sriman Narayana alone. Alone. Not just for my pleasure. Will I have a derivative pleasure? Oh, of course, it's pleasurable to surrender to God. It's pleasurable to do puja. It's pleasurable to read the Vedic scriptures. Engaging in spirituality is the most pleasurable thing in the world. People may not know that. People who maybe are a little bit new, and they think that, oh well, but what about going to bars? And what about just hanging out with friends? What about this? What about I want to know what the Huskers are doing. How the Huskers? For people who don't know, that's the football team of Nebraska. And people may worry, thinking to themselves, oh, but I have to give up so many things in order to be spiritual, so many pleasures, not understanding that for individuals who have practiced this path for some time, they will attest to this fact. Everything else in existence becomes trivial as far as pleasure in comparison to engaging in spiritual activity. Oh, you could scroll on the internet, you could read trivial books, romance novels, etc., etc. For the devotee, there is no more pleasurable reading than reading the Vedic scriptures. One can gossip, one can talk all you want about trivial things. Oh, yeah, how's the weather, Bob? All of these different things. Nothing is as pleasurable as devotees speaking to one another about spiritual topics. And I can go on and on and on. It just takes time. And it comes to the point where, as Prabhupada said, you develop a higher taste. You develop a higher taste. It comes to the point where, oh, we all have our tastes. So many people, sadly today especially, advertising has destroyed people's idea of what actually is pleasurable, of course. So many people today have lower tastes. The things that they want. What do they want? Oh, give me Chick-fil-A and some sports team on the TV that I can stare at, and I'm happy. How sad that people have been cultivated in the opposite way, in a bad way, to have such lower tastes. And again, by advertising. Individuals, on the other hand, who have practiced spirituality for some time, it comes to the point where that lower taste, which is ultimately meaningless, little by little loses its grip upon us. And it comes to the point where that which, again, as neophytes, we may have thought to ourselves, well, yeah, this is kind of hard. I think I'd rather be doing something else. It comes to the point where you develop a taste for those spiritual things, and the sweetness of reciting the names of God, the sweetness of thinking spiritual thoughts is incomparable, and nothing can compare to it. So this is prapatti. This is what we are aiming at. If one wants to understand, in a nutshell, what it is that the follower of Sanatana Dharma, the yogi, the spiritual aspirant, the Vaishnava, what it is that they're seeking to achieve, ultimately, it is this prapatti, atma nivedana, this self-surrender at the feet of God. And this is how we do it. Practice, and what?
Practice.
That's what we do. Good. Thank you very much for listening to my discourse. And with that, we have some time, so why don't we see, are there any questions, please? And I'm sorry, nice and loud so the microphone can pick up.
In our conditioned state that we're in, is speaking for myself. If I make mistakes on the path, I often feel the need at the next morning that I come to my sadhana to apologize to God for mistakes or transgressions that I may have done, knowing full well that I'm already forgiven. Is that something that we should do, or is there something else we can do to mitigate the effects of such feelings?
Excellent question. Let me give you the answer. Yes, we are indeed to recognize mistakes that we make. We are to apologize for them, even if it means indeed just apologizing to God. However, we are to do so not with guilt and shame. We are to do so with the idea of learning from those mistakes. So yes, it is always good to apologize. It's always good to make some mistake, and we know that. Oh, we even know no one else is aware of my mistake but God. Well, that's of course the most important thing. We are to indeed in our mind, not make a very big deal about it, but yes, we are to with our own words say, oh God, I've made this mistake and I apologize very deeply and I will do better from now on. And then at that point, we're not to have any shame or guilt because we have done the right thing. You see, an individual who is sincere doesn't have to feel guilt. A person who goes out of their way to harm others or to do something bad, that person should feel guilt. But otherwise, no, you make a mistake, there's no question of guilt. It is a question of, yes, you do apologize, but then you learn from that mistake. And you do your best to not have it happen again. Now, what if it happens again? You apologize again. And you redouble your effort to make sure it doesn't happen again. And that's it until it comes to the point where you've learned. You've grown. Good. Any other questions?
There's a few here.
Please.
I have to pick one.
Take your time.
I'll just pick the first one. So this is from Raja Rama. Namaste, Sri Acharyaji. What were some of the trainings that Kshatriyas undertook to be powerful warriors? How did they balance the spiritual and the material such that they could defend their nation from enemy forces? Can meditation upon God strengthen our material bodies? Jaya Shri Guru, Jaya Shri Narayana.
Very good. Let me give you the nutshell of what the training is for Kshatriyas. You learn virtue, you learn honor, and you learn how to kill as quickly and effectively as possible. That's the training for a Kshatriya. And it's that blunt, it's that simple. We're talking about Kshatriya, we're talking about Dharma warriors, not just anyone. So first and foremost, you learn virtue, you learn excellence, you learn what it means to be noble, you learn Arya Dharma, you learn the way of the Arya, of the noble individual. There's no such thing as a true Kshatriya who is not also noble. It's not just a matter of, this is someone who, like in the movies, they're, someone who they're very well trained in martial arts and they can do anything, defeat anyone. That's important too. But without nobility, without virtue, without excellence, that's maybe a soldier, but that's not a warrior in the true sense of that term. So first and foremost, they have to learn virtue. The second thing is they need to learn honor. And what do I mean by honor? Let me go a little bit in depth into this. Everyone needs to learn honor, actually. It doesn't matter what your varna is. The Brahmana has to have honor, the Vaishya, the Shudra, everyone has to have honor. But there is something that is very specific to the Kshatriya and Kshatriya Dharma. That is the way of the Kshatriya, such that they also have to learn the etiquette of what it means to be a Kshatriya. That means how they behave in accordance with other Kshatriyas, even enemy Kshatriyas, even individuals who are on a different side. They need to learn how to act with individuals who they are protecting, those individuals who are common citizens. They need to learn how to behave with individuals who are above them, so the king, the queen, etc. And in this way, learning such etiquette, they uphold their own honor. So this is something that is very, very important. And again, I can go very in-depth into this. One of the most important things, of course, is that as far as honor, a Kshatriya never breaks a legitimate vow. In other words, you make a vow to a demon, that doesn't matter. But you make a vow that is dharmic in nature. You make a vow to a good leader, whether it's a king, whether it's president, prime minister, anything like this, but a good person. You make any sort of vow, you do not break that vow no matter what. That is part of honor. And then, again, the third part is very practically. As far as training for a kshatriya, they train everything. We're talking about, let's say, an optimal warrior, someone who is an optimal warrior. So this means that they learn how to defeat others using their own body. They learn what we today call martial arts. Really, the term martial arts means really all of it. It also means weaponry. It also means, truthfully, if you are an expert marksman, you are a martial artist. A lot of people don't quite understand what that term martial arts means. They think of Bruce Lee. That's not, it means all of the fighting arts and sciences, actually. But indeed, a person who is an optimal kshatriya must learn that if I don't have any weapon, any recognized weapon around me, either A, I can use something as a weapon, or I can use my own body as a weapon. But then when it comes to weapons, oh yes, they must learn everything. Everything that they can and are willing to learn. Today, practically, what does that mean? Oh, weaponry, that means arms, that means guns. They have to learn how to use rifles, how to use shotguns, how to use knives, etc. It means, indeed, traditional weaponry. Like I said, knives, swords, anything like this. They need to learn strategy. They need to learn how to lead an army, how to lead troops, and on and on and on and on. So there's no limit to how much potentially a kshatriya can learn. Those individuals who are in our audience, and I know there are several of them, who are serious kshatriyas, you can attest that this is the case. You can learn this forever. So those are the three most important things that a kshatriya is to learn. And now this is the last thing I'm going to say because it begs the question, how do they learn these things? They find masters. Like with any field in which it is the case that you are learning a skill that is to be acquired that is very difficult to acquire on one's own, you find a master. You find someone who already has that skill, who is capable of teaching, so who is a good teacher. You go to that person and you learn. When it comes indeed to the martial arts, and not just again, Asian martial arts. This was the case in Europe as well, was it not? You found a master swordsman and you learned from that person, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You find a master, you learn from that person. And like with any discipline, you practice. So that's the smallest nutshell. So I hope that answers the question. Any other questions?
I can get another one online.
Please.
I'm not going to take them in order. I'm just going to. Well, one of them jumped out at me, so I haven't read them all. This is from Andrew Barton. And this is, thank you for your words, Sri Acharyaji. Forgive me if this seems too speculative, but may I ask, what kind of purport might there be for cultures with female solar deities, such as Japan's Amaterasu? Forgive my pronunciation.
Amaterasu Omikami.
Yes. Is it likely to be a mistransmission or referring to a consort?
Excellent question. I actually have spoken about this in the past, not often, but we find that indeed in many cultures, there will be solar deities, some will be men, some will be women, and sometimes this confuses people. Of course, for individuals who are actual speculators, and this is not you, Andrew, I'm talking about people in academia, people who are true speculators, of course, they will try to pretend that, this shows some sort of conflict. And, you see, they just make this all up. For some people, the sun is a woman. For some people, the sun is a man, etc. No, it's all reconciled if you understand the Vedic concept of Surya and Surya Parivar, that is the family of the sun god. And this is recognized by all the ancients. And that is that when we talk about not just solar dynasty, but specifically the family of Surya, there are men and there are women. There is Surya himself, and then he has his consort. They have children, they have daughters, they have sons, etc. And then there's extended family of this solar family specifically. So this is why in some cultures they will stress the female aspects of the family, in others the male aspects. So Amaterasu Omikami, this is indeed the sun goddess of Japan, who I know extremely well. And again, some people will be confused. Oh, you see, in Japan, they think the sun is a woman. No, they are worshiping one of the female family members of the solar family. And they are worshiping specifically the daughter of the sun. In some cases, it's the consort of Surya, of the sun god, etc. So this is how this is all reconciled. So I hope that makes sense.
Other questions here? Excellent, because there's a lot more here. This is from Bhar Saga. And the question is, Namaste Acharyaji, how do we develop the discipline to meditate every day?
We have to have tremendous yearning. See, that's a good question, but get rid of meditation, add anything else. How do we have the discipline to do extremely well in school and get straight A's? How do we have the discipline to indeed learn a martial art? Oh, I want to have a black belt. How do I develop that discipline? And on and on and on. Anything that we can think of, we have to have yearning. You see, a person who just kind of throws himself into college and, oh, yeah, we'll see how I do. Oh, what am I majoring in? Oh, I don't know. I'll figure it out. That's not someone who's going to be successful. That person, by default, by definition, does not have discipline. Why? He has no yearning. And what is meant by yearning? He doesn't have a goal and focus upon that goal. And that goal being, again, yearning, very important to him. If a person wants to have a black belt, trust me, I know, you want a black belt in, whatever martial art, you have to have yearning. It has to be important to you. Not just, black belt in Kung Fu, black belt in X martial art. Yeah, I'll try it. We'll see. No, the person's not going to have a black belt. But again, you have a yearning. Oh, it's important to me. So in the same way, the way that we develop a daily meditation routine is have it be something that is truly of importance to you, to the point where all other things that you are doing, all other activities kind of recede into the background. That would be the number one most important thing. And let me just say this bluntly, it should be the most important thing. It's not a matter of choice if you are a spiritual person. It should be the most important thing. Because meditation is the heart of everything. Meditation is the heart of all Sanatana Dharma, of all spirituality. This is why, you don't have any legitimate spiritual path without meditation. This is why, again, dealing specifically with Sanatana Dharma, meditation is at the heart of our practice, it's at the heart of everything. Let me state this again bluntly. If we were to lose everything else, let's say, we never did puja again, we didn't do asanas, we didn't do anything else. If we simply retain meditation, we will achieve our goal. Everything else helps. Doing a puja helps. Everything else helps. But meditation is the heart of everything. Why? Why? Because we are, with meditation, cultivating, there's that word again, upasana, proximity to God, proximity to that which, when we are in the presence of which, we are affected by that in such a way that we are transformed. That's meditation. We meditate specifically. What do I say? We become like that upon which we meditate. We meditate specifically upon the highest. And that's also why I always say that, the highest. Why? Because now, in meditating upon God, the names of God, pastimes of God, etc., what are we doing? We are bathing ourselves in God's presence such that internally, starting from the inside and then coming forth without, we become transformed such that we become like unto God. That's meditation. That's the practice. We can lose almost everything else, and God willing, we won't lose any of it. This is what's beautiful about Sanatana Dharma. Thousands of years have gone by. We haven't lost anything. But let's just say that, 12,000 years into the future, let's say we end up losing a lot of it. We lose many of our scriptures. We lose the ritual practices. If we can retain meditation and we know how to do that, we have our connection to God. So this is Var Saga. I'm very happy that you're here, and thank you for all the wonderful, beautiful short videos that you've created for us, and thank you for asking this question. The way that we discipline ourselves such that we can do this all-important heart of spirituality, meditation, have it be something that is more important to you than anything. Be on fire to know truth, to know God, and to transform yourself in such a way that you know nothing but joy and fulfillment in your life. And in that way, you will be enthused to meditate every day with discipline. So will everyone else. I hope that answers the question.
So here's a question from Noah. And the question is this. Namaste Acharyaji and everyone. You have prepared us for seeing severe upheavals and disturbances in the coming months. Even though we have divine confirmation of the betterment of things to come, how can we remain steady in this trust to not fear in the moments of doubt or uncertainty? Thank you.
Very good. The answer lies in what I was saying a moment ago. The answer lies in having ourselves steeped in meditative awareness at all times. In other words, there's the internal and there's the external. This is practice. There's the internal and there's the external. What is the external? Everything, all the craziness that is around us, the material world, the ups and downs, the environment, everything that comes our way, the pleasant things, the unpleasant things, the things that we see on the news, the politics, etc., etc., etc. That's all the external. It will never stop coming at us. Even for the yogi, unless it was thousands of years ago, they had the opportunity to remove themselves from society and live in a forest. Let's be honest, most of us do not have that opportunity today. But unless they have that opportunity, even for the yogi, even for all of us, even for Vaishnavas, the material world will often encroach upon us. But this is where we take shelter of the internal. And indeed, this is why we are to cultivate, as I was saying before, surrender, surrender, surrender in every way. How do we cultivate that surrender? Very practically, sadhana-wise, we bathe ourselves in God via meditation, by meditating on the names of God, those authorized mantras that were given to us, revealed to us in the Vedic scriptures, such that we are communing with God. It means that we read Krishna book, specifically by Prabhupada, and we remind ourselves of these beautiful stories of God and God's infinitely mysterious and beautiful personality. It means that we take shelter of all the scriptures. It means that we seek association. You see, this is something that needs to be emphasized, and we try to emphasize it, but there's no maximal degree that we can emphasize this enough of. Association, satsanga. We are to associate with other devotees as much as possible. So in other words, the exterior world will encroach upon us, no matter what. We are to cultivate that interior world, and that interior world is to be a replication of Vaikuntha. The internal world is to be a replication of the spiritual world, because that internal world, that Atman, is spiritual. So we are to live within as if we are in Vaikuntha. Now, all that being said, again, we're not going to separate ourselves from this world. Many individuals, people here, people watching online, we live in big cities, we live in modern nations, all sorts of places. And neither do we need to really separate ourselves physically, geographically from the world around us. But we do need to turn within, because that is where Atman lies, that is where Paramatman lies, where God himself lies. And taking shelter of God more and more, and especially now, it will come to the point where we will be able to face any challenge that comes our way. Especially now, and yes, I have said this, I've said this for years actually. This isn't something where I just began saying this a few months ago. Actually, I've said this for years, that this is going to be a crazy era that we're in right now, and now people see that it's the case. And I'm not the only one. There are people who knew that, 2024 was going to be insane. And indeed, what we have seen is just the beginning. For those of us who live in America, we are both in the belly of the beast, and we are also in the place where a new golden age is going to be born. So those of us in America especially are going to see things that are going to amaze us. So indeed, we need to be prepared for this. This is how we prepare. Go within, go within, go within. But at the same time, stay engaged in the world. See, that's the perfect yogi. This is Krishna's message to Arjuna. Oh, be a perfect yogi. Again, that upasana, we have that proximity in meditation with Bhagavan at all times, but also we do our duty. We engage in the world. You have a job, go to your job every day. You have a family, oh, you better take care of your family, no matter what. You take care of your children, your spouse, no matter what. No excuses. None of this, oh, I'm so spiritual, family, they're secondary. No, you make sure that your family also, like God, is everything for you. You take care of them. You take care of those who are around you. You find yourself, and you have found yourself, those who are listening right now, and hopefully this will become a video in the future, those who watch the video as well. You have found yourself in a very special place where you are someone who wisdom has been revealed unto you. Now you find yourself in a special place. For those people who are around you, family, friends, even strangers who you don't know, but you might bump into them, and you see that they are troubled by what they're going to see around them, that they're in fear, you help them. You help them. And this way, too, you are doing seva. You help them in whatever way you can. They're very open to an overt spiritual message. Oh, you share that with them. They're not, and they just need someone to figuratively put their arm around them and say, listen, it's okay, don't worry. Things will be fine. You do that. If that's all you can do, no mention of Dharma, because it's someone you barely know, and no, they wouldn't be too open anyway. You do whatever you need, such that you bring light to this world. So this is what we are to do. There is no better way for us to grow spiritually and for us to be at peace than to give peace to others. And this is what the world is going to need in the immediate future. So Noah, thank you very much for that wonderful question. Is that Noah?
Yes.
I believe, yes. Thank you. We have a question here. It's nice and loud.
Namaste, Acharyaji. My apologies if this question's been asked before, but do the yugas affect the other planets simultaneously? So would Siddhaloka be going through a Kali Yuga as we are right now? Thank you.
Good question. The unintended consequential effects of the yugas as they affect the earth plane might touch the higher realms, but otherwise, no.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So in other words, the yugas will especially, of course, affect the bhumi plane, the earthly plane. If as a result of that, there are some effects that then kind of reverberate upwards, that then will kind of, in one or two instances, affect higher beings, then that could happen. But otherwise, please keep this in mind. And this is very easy to understand. It's so sad that people who even mean well and they claim they know a lot about Hinduism, they get so much wrong. So people have debated back and forth. Oh, the yugas must affect the gods. Oh no, it can't be that the yugas affect the gods. They're so high, etc. No, the yugas cannot affect the gods, again, other than very indirectly, because of the fact that time is experienced differently for them. So the effects of time are experienced differently for the devas. It's that simple. Depending on what strata you're talking about, whereas for us, for example, the Kali Yuga will be 430,000 years long. Depending on what strata of deva you're talking about, that's a week for them, that's a month for them, etc. So again, energetically, the yugas affect the earthly plane, especially. And for the gods, they can be affected by more inconsequential things that occur on the earth that then, for one reason or another, kind of touches them. But the yuga cycle itself is not something that is of great significance to them.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And did you mention Satyaloka or Siddhaloka?
Siddhaloka.
Siddhaloka. Siddhaloka, the yugas do not affect Siddhaloka in any way whatsoever. Siddhaloka is a plane of quote unquote perfected beings. It is a plane of yogis, of gods, of sages, of rishis. The greatest The greatest sages in our universe go there and visit there. Narada Muni goes there, and he's a regular guru, he's a regular teacher there. Agastya Muni, many of the great rishis have appeared in Siddhaloka, and they teach there. There are yogis there who are 1 inch away from liberation. There are yogis who are liberated. But there, it is a plane of perfected beings. That's why it's called Siddha Loka, literally the Loka, the plane, the planet, the place of Siddhas, of perfected beings. So not affected by the yogas.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
This is from Dharma Asprit. Namaste Sri Acharya. I offer my respectful obeisances to you. How does one set out in the world in search for truth, away from stagnation, disassociating from people that one is no longer aligned with? I assume he means with fear of change, shyness in meeting new people, and sparking conversations. In essence, where does one find the courage?
First of all, by understanding what I'm about to tell you, the International Sanatana Dharma Society, I would say a minimum of half of our people I would consider shy. And interestingly, I'm one of them. And shy in a good way, not shy meaning awkward, shy meaning individuals who have great humility. And they're not the sort of people who want to be in the center of conversation, the center of a room, and speaking loudly, etc., etc. So let me tell you, for individuals who truly wish to be spiritual, this is the general demographic, this is the general mood of individuals who are spiritual, is that they tend to be people who are somewhat more backwards pushing. Indeed, my guru, Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Swami, is known for saying this about himself. He called himself a backwards pushing man, meaning that, when he was a young man and he was a devotee in his guru's mission, his guru's movement, Gaudiya Mata, it was called. When he was there, it was a very highly organized movement, and there were many leaders, many charismatic sort of individuals. Those people themselves ended up, many of them, becoming gurus in their own right. But when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was alive, very often when there was some big project that had to happen, many of these charismatic people came forward, I'll do it, yes, I can lead that, I'll do it. Whereas Sridhar Maharaja tended to be a little bit more quiet, and he wouldn't just put himself in the center of everything. Now, keep in mind, he had as many, if not more, responsibilities than the others, because Bhaktisiddhanta always recognized this, that, he's quiet, but he's the one who can get it done. So he would say this about himself, I am a backwards pushing man. So in other words, rather than wanting all that fame and glory and, I will do it, no, he would be very sedate, very quiet. And as a result, he was recognized by his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta, as actually someone who could get things done, but quietly. Someone who could actually do something. So indeed, this is what many of our students in the ISDS are like. They're not braggarts, they're not people who, are always on the forefront of things. They tend to be what we would call shy. So believe me, Dharma aspirant, was it? Yeah, you're not alone. Many of our people are shy, including our best leaders in the ISDS. And truthfully, again, as long as you're shy for the right reasons, in other words, just humility, not seeking fame, then there's nothing wrong with being a little bit shy, actually. One can be shy and yet at the same time do enormous things. I've said this many times and it always surprises people. I am very shy. I have been since I was a child. I'm a shy person. When I am in certain places, I'm not someone who's constantly talking. You would think that I am. No. My personal nature is to be very quiet, actually, and not be always, trying to be the center of attention. I'm actually very shy, and yet I'm leading a movement. So in the same way, you can be on the one hand, again, shy in a positive way, out of humility, but at the same time, you can accomplish tremendous things in this world, both for yourself and for society as well. This is cultivating humility. So indeed, what I would encourage you to do is not see the shyness as a debilitation at all. And now allow it to be. Because again, there is such a thing as the wrong kind of shyness. You do have to develop self-confidence, a healthy sense of pride in who you are. You have to know yourself very, very well. And you need to cultivate both your skills, that is who you are, your characteristics, but also a healthy faith in your own skills and characteristics. You need to develop both of these. But you need to develop this in such a way that, of course, you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it, just like we were saying before, with surrender. You're developing who you are and your skills and your internal attributes to surrender at the feet of God. Like I was saying before, we use our body to serve God. Good. Then we should give ourselves a perfect body as much as we are capable of as individuals. We should have optimal health. We should have optimal strength. Go to the gym, eat well, etc., so that you can serve God. In the same way, build a healthy self-confidence. Believe in yourself. Truly believe in yourself. And again, not in a false way. See those things in which you realize, oh yeah, I am pretty good at this. Yeah, I do this well. Grab onto that and have that be fuel so that you have a healthy self-confidence. And this being the case, you will have success in everything. You'll have success spiritually. You'll have success within the world with any endeavor that you want to engage in, such that you can prosper in this world. But the most important thing is that internally you understand everything that I'm cultivating, ultimately it's to serve God. And that sense of surrender, you can become maximally the best that you are capable of. You can absolutely unleash your potential in this world and at the same time still have that humility. This is what we need. The ISDS needs to be a veritable army of hundreds of thousands and millions of devotees who indeed have achieved that wonderful balance. That on the one hand, our goal should be excellence in everything that we do. For us, the words, that's good enough, should never come out of our mouths. About ourselves, about our work, about anything we're doing. That looks all right, that's good enough, whatever. That should never come out of our mouths. We should seek excellence, excellence, excellence. We should be hardworking people. There should never be a time when you're just kind of slumped on the couch. You should always be doing something, and that's what our people are like. That's what I'm like. That's what everyone here is like. Even when they're quote unquote relaxing, they're doing something of importance. It could be a small thing. It could be a small thing. On the one hand. On the other hand, we are individuals who are surrendered to God such that we don't allow even our own excellence to go to our head. Whatever our excellence is, some of us have tremendous intelligence. I think probably all of our people in the ISTS have enormous intelligence. Some of us have other skills. We know things. We're good at computers. We're good at something. We all have our own excellences. But we cannot allow those excellences to make us egotistical, but at the same time, in a very objective way. We need to recognize our excellences. If we're intelligent, we need to be able to say to ourselves objectively, oh, I'm intelligent. That's good. Let me use this in Krishna service. This is why I've told people, recognize your own excellences as if you're just talking about someone else. You see, if you have a friend and he's very intelligent, isn't it nice to say, yeah, my friend's intelligent? It doesn't give you ego. You're just recognizing a fact. Well, we can do this about ourselves as well. Oh, I have some good qualities. That's nice. Yeah, I have these qualities. That's it. Without it going to your head. And now use those qualities that you now know you have with that self-confidence that you now have to do wonderful things in this world, in service, in seva. And in this way, imagine the ISDS, ultimately, we have thousands of people involved now. Imagine when we have hundreds of thousands and millions of people, all of who are acting in this way. Ooh, how we're going to affect this world and bring about a golden age. So I hope that answers the question. With that, namaste. Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Om Hari Om. We'll see you again soon.